All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Living the Dream podcast. Today on the show, we have Sal Mannino, who is the founder and CEO of the SB marketing team. Sal, how you doing?
Good, thank you. How you doing, Timmy?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for asking. And we'd like to jump right in. So if you could start with telling us a little bit more about yourself and what you like to do for fun, that'd be great.
Again, he said my name's Sal. I go by Sal. My name's Salvatore. So I am a upcoming entrepreneur. I what I do for fun is pretty much my business. I mean, there's a lot behind it. I mean, I do all kinds of stuff. But I found that I was very passionate about starting my business because it's always a set of challenges. And I think that challenges are always good because that's how you learn. When things become easy, you kind of get bored and complacent. So what kind of drives me in my business is a new set of challenges every day, right? Whether it's trying to find prospect clients, trying to work through proposals with people, trying to negotiate deals and stuff like that. That kind of like drives me to kind of go that route. And that's just kind of what I do for fun. And then other stuff that I do is like play video games and stuff like that. All the normal stuff. Nothing like crazy or anything like that.
Yeah, man, I love that you said that. I play some video games and, typical like getting on podcast success culture, we don't really talk about the hobbies that aren't like productivity hacks, right?
No. Well, no, it's actually funny because like growing up, like everybody would like would always talk down to like video games, and I never really understood why. And they actually kind of helped like business wise being social, like getting behind, because like what I do is all pretty much behind a screen, right? Like all you do in video games, whether I don't know if you had Xbox or PlayStation, but I was an Xbox guy. I always have been. Now that I have both systems, but PS5 was a waste of money. It just sits here for looks at this point. It's just like bragging rights. It really is. But no, like it built social skills that people like in like our parents, and I don't know how old you were, but you look like you're in your 20s. I'm only 22, so
I'm 22 as well.
okay, all right, yeah, so good. So like our parents are always like, and teachers and stuff like that always talk down about video games, and I think it's something that definitely helped me shape getting comfortable behind a computer screen and just like talking to people like this, you know. um and you learn so about so many people's experiences that like some people face to face wouldn't share certain experiences that I've heard over the years just playing Call of Duty or Minecraft or Fortnite. That it's actually kind of like sad but powerful at the same time because it drives you to kind of get you where you want to go based off those experiences over the years. So that's kind of how that's helped me.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And it is funny, a lot of our parents and stuff, older people will talk down on video games, but you see how much of our time is increasingly spent in front of a screen, whether it be our phone, our computer. You got this whole metaverse stuff going on. So
Yeah, the Web 3.0 is going to be interesting. I'm actually really excited for it.
yeah.
Because like if you think about like when our parents were younger, like our age, the internet was in that same stage that Web 3.0 is. So like a lot of people our age are still skeptical like our parents were, which is kind of an interesting shift because eventually like that's going to change because they're going to have to. And I think it's going to happen a lot sooner than when our parents had to kind of make that shift. You know, it took them 20 years. I think we're only maybe 3 or 4 years out where we have to make that similar shift in that time.
Yeah, dude, I'm right there with you, and I am sold on Web
100%. Everything's cool about it.
Everything is so cool about it. And specifically, though, talking about gaming, you got the like play to earn models that are coming out.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't know a whole lot about them, but they like stuff's like an NFT in a video game,
Yes.
and you can like sell them for
Yeah.
like real money. Like people in a video game can be a legitimate video game blacksmith and make a shit ton of money being a blacksmith in a video game. Like it's really crazy to think about.
It's actually insane, and what it is like it's so you know how people buy skins on Fortnite for clout.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like giving the autonomy and power to people playing the game to be able to make skins that people will buy, as opposed to just the company making all the skins. And so it's just like, obviously people exchange money for things that they find valuable. And when it comes to games, it's like, if it gives you clout, if it gives you reputation, you're gonna spend money on it. And if you can make those things in game, it's like
it's great. And the creativity of like people, it is, I don't know how to put it. I guess the creativity of like younger minds now are understanding it, and they're making like money, a ridiculous money at 16 and 17 on this stuff, like NFTs. Like it's crazy that you can make $2, $3, $4 million over essentially overnight once you launch these projects.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I am right there with you. It is crazy stuff that's going on in the world. And, then you have, it's always sad to see like, okay, you see crazy innovation. This just is something that touches my heart. And then we can get back to kind of the.
No, you're good. You're good. I love talking about this stuff.
You see so much like innovation, so much opportunity, and then you see people stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And that breaks my heart when I see people stuck and they're like, because of their closed-minded skepticism, like not willing to try anything. It's just, man, that gets me.
Well, I think some of that sometimes this is like people are scared to take the risk, whether it's financially, peer pressure, people they associate with. Because like I know I've been in that boat plenty of times, and typically it's financially, like when you try to make that jump, right? And you're scared, you don't want to make that jump because you don't want to fear for like where the next paycheck's going to come from, essentially, right? I think a lot of people run into that rut with like these new things because they are, a lot of them are expensive. Like who's going to pull out $400,000 for an NFT? Not many people.
Yeah.
So
not many people at all.
Yeah, I wish.
Well, awesome, man. Cool. Well, let's hear a little bit more about SB marketing, like what the day-to-day looks like, what the business looks like.
So we started about, I want to say this time last year, a little bit before this time last year, me and a buddy, we got the idea because we were like, well, what can we're flipping around all kinds of like business opportunities. We were talking about real estate and then like wholesaling real estate, doing the contracts, like all this stuff. And it was just like confusing because like some states you have to have a license in, some states you don't. I don't know. It was just, there was a lot behind it and we didn't fully understand it. So we weren't just going to jump into it. And then I got the idea for a marketing agency because I find value in like buying courses to like learn about different things. And, being in college, I kind of realized it's a complete waste of time and money.
Yep.
But I found that buying courses led to other opportunities that I thought I would never have, talking to people of big clients. So the idea came just from like just flip-flopping like entrepreneurial like ideas. So basically what we do is we build up brands, like say like you want to build your podcast even higher, right? So what we'll do is we'll do things like social growth campaigns that will generate followers through like a paid media, basically of giveaways and direct messaging and stuff like that to build up your brand, right? So a lot of these big people use this all the time, and it kind of helps them drive their verification, right? So if you're like a new business or a small, it could even be like a local small business. You don't have to necessarily be like somebody who wants to be famous and have all these, be an influencer per se. But when we focus on like a small business, and then I'll go to like more like bigger business, I focus on getting them like 10,000 followers on Instagram, because what that does is it opens up a lot of opportunity for Instagram to realize that they're actually like somebody, right? So you can open up things like Reels. You can do like a shop. So like if you're a small business or e-com store and you have a shop, it opens up another opportunity for somebody, right? So we'll do that for like a small business. A bigger business or somebody who wants to be an influencer, we would kind of set up like a platform of getting verified. And a lot of that has to do with press release articles. So like we can put them in certain articles. We have like 300 or 400 publications that we work with, everybody from GQ magazine to Forbes, all the way down to like Yahoo, and some of the smaller ones that like aren't well known, but like they're more like a regionally known one, like maybe LA Weekly or something like that. Or I think we do New York Times. There's a bunch of them I can go on for. And we build up their personality and get them verified, because ultimately like that's what you need. You build up so much credibility just being verified on a social media platform. And what a lot of people don't understand is there's a lot of fake profiles out there. And this is kind of going off a little bit of rant, but it has to do with it. So you like you had 150,000 followers, but you weren't verified. Well, there might be other people that are posing as you as a Timothy, whatever. Now, Instagram doesn't really know who's who. So what they actually might do is, in a lot of cases with some of the clients I work with, they actually ban both profiles. So the importance of verification and the investment that you can make for verification is critical, and it protects your reputation, because ultimately at the end, like, your reputation's, that's what you live on, right? Like, I built a reputation of wanting to help my clients exceed to the next level with everything that they do and what they're doing. So reputation to me is critical, and I'm going to be there by my customer's side, hand in hand, day and night. You know, they can call me whenever if they have questions, concerns, how do things work. If I don't know it, I have a team that in my network that probably has the answer. So that's also like a benefit that I talk with new clients about. Like, if there's something that I personally can't do, I probably have somebody that can do it for me, or, you know, we can kind of meet in the middle and I can introduce them to that said friend or something like that. So that's kind of like a gist. And then we do other stuff for other small businesses like Facebook, Instagram ads. Like I said, verification for musicians and all kinds of personality brands. We do email marketing and all the other services that we offer. So there's a crap ton that we can do, but that's what our main focus is.
There we go, man. I love that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So I think you touched on this a little bit, but let's hear a bit more about your motivation. What gets you up and keeps you going every day?
What gets me up every day is wanting to help other people succeed, right? So coming from a background that moved around a lot as a kid and stuff like that, and never per se lived in one spot or per sense had a lot of money, that kind of is a motivational factor in wanting to help other people not have to deal with those situations. Because look, you know, there's a quote that I like, and people kind of misconstrued it. They say that money is the root of all evil, but I don't believe that. I believe that it just transmits your personality. So what drives me is trying to help other people in that sense. So, like, for instance, I'm a volunteer firefighter, so, you know, I do that. That helps people. Also in law enforcement, that helps people, right? So with my business, I want to help people. Like, that's why I get up every day. You know, I coach football. You know, I give back in that sense because I want to help the kids get better, right? So these are all kinds of things that I do that all have to do with one another, right? So, you know, going to work, me learning how to deal with people at work translates into my business, dealing with people in of course, a totally different spectrum. You're talking about people that come from absolutely nothing, dirt poor, and then do crime, to, you know, talking to people who might have came from nothing or were in that situation at one point, and now they're running a business and they need help running a business, right? So I kind of get to see both spectrums, and that's like kind of the benefit with me, because I understand like where some of these people come from and how important their business is to them, and that kind of drives me every day working with different clients.
I love it. I love it. Helping other people succeed is key, and it also helps you stay focused on just adding value always. Which
100%. That's the greatest thing you can do, is add value to somebody's life.
Absolutely. It's at the core of success and good relationships and just a happy life, honestly. Well, awesome, man. Let's jump into your dreams and goals now. Tell us about your vision for your life and your company.
There's another quote that I like. It is, I'm going to paraphrase it, but it's, you're born and you die, and there's a dash in the middle, and like what you do in the middle is going to leave your legacy. And I know I'm kind of butchering that quote, and you might have heard it before. It's a pretty well-known quote, but and the reason I like that is because the legacy that you want to leave behind is why you do what you do, right? So so when I do everything that I do, I remember that one day we're going to die, right? So that helps me envision, me wanting to have a 25 car garage with, I want to have exotic cars, right? So I love cars. I love fancy cars, but they're expensive, right? So, my business isn't to that point where I like it to be, but I've always wanted to travel around the world, right? So, like I said, we're in our youth, not youth, but like we're very young still. So I think I'm to a point where I don't want to settle down yet. I want to travel, but traveling allows you to kind of build your vision in the sense of like you can get to design your dream house. You get to see all these experiences, right? Experiences are important because they help you drive your dreams. Where I would like to live is Florida. I think Florida is very cool. There's a lot of different areas of Florida. I have family that lived in Florida. I used to live in Florida when I was a kid. And I think having a house in Florida would be my dream, on the canal specifically. The other one would be on an island, having my own private island somewhere where it's like, if I just don't want to be near anybody, you just, I'm going to get on a plane and fly there, right? Get on a golf. I would love to have a GulfStream. I think that'd be cool. Just to say, like, it's a name brand, like jet company. Everybody wants a GulfStream. So it's like, that's kind of cool. Like, that's a dream for me. But I think like the dream always changes sometimes, like, if that makes sense. Like, like there are things that like when you're a kid, like you're dreaming, I want to be an astronaut, but clearly that's not always realistic. However, for some people it is. But I think your dreams are always changing depending on what your situation is now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I feel that. I get that. And do you think your dreams change based on your situation because you genuinely want different things, limitations, or a combination thereof?
I think it's a combination of both, right? Because some things you're limited to in the current situation that you're in, but you got to remember, and it's hard to remember that like this too shall pass, right? So like maybe right now you can't afford that big fancy house or big fancy car or the GulfStream jet, but eventually you can if you work on your dreams, right? There's another quote, and everybody kind of, I don't want to say everybody, but people often, I forget what movie it's from, but it's how much do they first give you to pay you to give up on your dreams. And I like that because people have all these big envisioned dreams, and they get paid a salary, and then they forget about them, and then they live the 9 to 5, and you go through the family and everything. Which there's nothing wrong with that if it makes somebody happy, right? But people, their experience changes their dreams, and then that limited. I feel like that could limit them. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I hope that kind of answers that question.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. That was a great answer. I love it. So you want some exotic cars, you want to travel around the world, you want to live in Florida, have a GulfStream jet?
Yeah, no, I always wanted my own private jet. I think that'd be cool.
Any other dreams or goals? You need to talk to Grant Cardone. He just
yeah, that's funny. I love his like personality and stuff. I follow him a lot on social media, and I think just like he just tells you how it is.
Yeah,
him and Gary Vaynerchuk are my two favorite like entrepreneurs by far. Gary Vaynerchuk's like tells you how it is. Go to garage selling, and actually that's what kind of got me into entrepreneurship. Right, is going to garage selling. That's a whole experience in itself that I've learned. You literally like I've paid $1 for a video game and sold it for 300 the next weekend. Like that's a legitimate thing. I still do it. I still go to garage sales on weekends and find stuff and resell it. Like it's just always cool because you find like historical stuff. You find stuff that you're like, oh, this won't sell. Like sealed VCR DVD combo players you buy for $20 and you sell them for $450 on eBay. Like it's ridiculous, but people will collect. But no, like them two are definitely by far the two people that would want to meet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Elon Musk, because Elon Musk is just not common at all.
Yeah, I feel that. That's funny. You've already answered one of our future questions. Gary V, Grant Cardone, and Elon.
Yeah.
Love it.
Dynamic. They're trio.
Yeah, there we go. Any other dreams or goals you want to chat about before we kind of move on?
I think it covers most of them.
There we go.
I'm sure they'll pop in later.
Yeah. I'm sure they will. Awesome, man. Well, I know you said that Gary V kind of got you into entrepreneurship, but tell us a little bit more about the entrepreneurial journey. You're 22, younger guy. A lot of people our age aren't doing it, or so the media would tell you, at least. So tell us a little bit more about your journey.
Yeah, so I guess I kind of envisioned it when I was at the end of high school, beginning of college. So I went to Rowan University. It's in Glassboro, New Jersey. And I was kind of in my dorm room, and I was, like I said, it was just like recently when I found Gary Vaynerchuk, like that time. So, and it's been about 4 years now that I've been listening to his stuff. And he always says that, like, there's so much money laying around your house. You can flip stuff, make money to start that business or to kind of live that happy lifestyle. And I kind of wish that I would have heard that sooner or understood that sooner, because I don't know that college is technically right for me or was right for me. Now I'm still in, because at this point I like to finish things that I start. I don't want to, it does suck sometimes. Don't get me wrong. And that's a conversation in itself. But I think he kind of driven me forward in that sense of, hey, you don't have to go that normal route, right? I believe that there's two paths in life, right? You have path A is the path everybody goes down, right? Go to college, get this job, go in debt, and you might make double that in 10 or 15 years, depending on what you do, right? I kind of believe in some of that to a point, but like right now I'm in a spot where it's, hey, I'm going to get that job because it's going to make me more likely to succeed on my business, right? I love business. I do great in business. I also love doing what I do in the public service realm. Like, I don't know that I want to give that up. It would be hard to give it up, but you find a happy medium to do both, right? So he kind of like helped me adventure. And then I kind of started getting into, like, when I was at the gym, just listening to different podcasts and different people in business, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and the list goes on and on of different people that I listen to. And you just kind of get a perspective of all different angles. Mark Cuban and all those guys, like all the big names that you've heard of, and even small ones I've listened to, Jocko Willink and stuff like that, of like a business perspective. So yeah.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. I love that. It's so such a critical thing for people to understand. The stuff that we're putting into our minds shapes us every day.
Correct. And I think in one of your questions is coming up, and I don't want to jump to it yet. I'll get to like why that's important.
Yeah, not
how that's important. Man. Okay. So I think one of your questions that was like reading books and like, what's your favorite book, right?
Yeah.
So what I found is that, like, I always resented reading books because in high school and middle school, first off, I wasn't a good reader, right? And I think I wasn't a good reader because it's kind of that public speaking aspect that, like, people would like kind of make fun of you for mispronouncing words or stuff like that, or just kind of like laugh about it. Not necessarily making fun of you, but just laugh and joke around. But sometimes like it gets annoying, right? And I always hated like popcorn reading and reading like books that I didn't really like or enjoy. And I think that's so hard that, like, there's these curriculums in the education system that we kind of have to stick to because that's like the law, and you have to read certain books. But I don't know that that's the right move, because somebody like me, I would have benefited reading books at an earlier age, like in high school, right? Like reading in The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale, reading the 48 Laws of Power. And I'm actually reading that book right now, and it's a great book, and I can kind of see why it was banned in the prison system. Like, it is definitely a powerful book by far. But just knowledge is power, and reading helps that. Now, there's different forms of getting that knowledge and learning, and like you said, what you put in is kind of what you get out and into your mind. I think reading's important. I think reading what you want to read is most important. And I think listening to podcasts and even buying a simple course online is definitely, I think, critical, because you don't know what opportunities that could open up depending on if it's a good course, though, right? And it has like a mentorship behind it. Because if it doesn't have a mentorship behind it, I probably wouldn't recommend doing the course, because I don't know that you get that educational experience that you're looking for. That makes sense. But my favorite book of all time so far is Start With Why by Simon Sinek. I don't know if you heard that book before.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now, so I love that book because, and there's another book I like too, and it's probably probably number 2, it's The Third Door by Alex Banayan. So these are the 2 kind of books that I've read first early on in like when I was in college. And they both kind of go hand in hand, right? So Start With Why is kind of what I got out of it anyway. Is like, why do you do what you do, right? Why do you get up in the morning? Why do you go to work? Why did you start your business? Why do you coach football? Or why are you a first responder? You know, the list goes on and on. Like, why do you do what you do? Why did Bill Gates start Microsoft? You know, he wanted to work with software. All right. That's a great reason, right? And it led into billions of dollars. Why did Jeff Bezos leave his $100,000 Wall Street job or whatever it was in New York City, right? He wanted to start a bookstore online. He saw a great opportunity there, right? Like that was the why that I got from that, right? So Simon Sinek talks about why people do what they do. Alex Banayan with The Third Door talks about that there's always a third way into like a nightclub, right? So you got one way is just like sit in line, stand there for hours and hope to get in. The other one's to be the pretty girl cut in front of line. And the third one's through the back door into the kitchen, and then you're into the nightclub, right? Entrepreneurship, in my opinion, is like the third option, right? There's a shit ton of obstacles you're going to have to jump through. It's not, you know, one straight line. Grant Cardone talks about one of his videos. It's, you know, you start with a vision and the lines get all squiggly. Like that's what The Third Door is like, right? Like there's always other options to get to people, right? Something that I'm working on now is trying to reach high level people. And the way you do that is, I think, trying to find people in their network to build that reputation to speak to those people you want to speak with. And Alex Banayan kind of talked about that in The Third Door with building a reputation, going to different events and trying to hopefully meet these people. And that's kind of like what I got from those 2 books. And those are kind of why they're my favorite books. You know, there's other good books out there like Jocko Willink's book,
Extreme
Ownership. Yeah, that's a great book. And great podcast too. And there's a ton of other ones you can go on and on about. But I think those were by far my 2 favorite books and why it's important to read.
I love it, man. I couldn't say it better myself. Well, I don't want to skip over this question. What's the most important 1 or 2 things that everyday people can do to help you accomplish your dreams and goals?
Having a routine. Can you say that one more time?
To help you accomplish. So not help them accomplish their dream, but help you.
What helps me accomplish?
Yeah. What can your neighbor who's listening to this podcast now do to help you out?
Oh, okay. You know, building support, you know, that's important. You have to build a network of support. People. So one of the mentorship programs I'm in, and I have a coach in business, and I think everybody needs a coach in business or whatever you're doing. Building a support for what you do is critical because it's going to be hard and you need somebody to talk to, right? So for me, I have a network of other entrepreneurs that are in a digital marketing agency that I can reach out to if I need a helping hand, whether it's from a mental standpoint, maybe it's dieting, maybe it's relationship building, maybe it's learning about a new culture, or maybe a new niche that I want to get into with my marketing agency. So having that foundation of support, I think, is critical. And even like maybe you're not business savvy or anything like that, but maybe you're just somebody, one of my friends, and don't understand what I'm doing. That's fine. You don't have to understand what I'm doing. You just got to be there for me in the toughest times. That's all I ask, right? I don't expect you to understand my dreams, you know. And when I was getting into this originally, I was hoping that, like, you know, or at least I assumed that everybody would support you. Everybody would be there if you need it. And some people don't understand what you're doing when you're building a business. Right? They think you're crazy. You're doing something that's not common. It's not common to go and build a business, right? And that's hard to do. And people don't understand that. They just assume, hey, you know, graduate from high school, go to college, get a job, and, you know, live life. But not everybody thinks that way, right? And all I ask for people is just support me and what I'm doing, and be there if I need a helping hand. That's all I ask.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I love that. Support is key. I love that you have that support around you, but if you guys are listening to this and you can add to his network. Maybe you know some people who need a marketing agency.
No, and that's my thing. Like, I don't mind giving somebody a helping hand. Like, I'm pretty accessible on all my social media platforms, and people that are even close to me have my phone number. Like, if they're listening, I'm pretty open, and if I have the info, even if I don't have the info, I'll try and find it.
Yeah, I love it. Sounds good. Well, there we go. Let's go back to our thriving three. So we had a little back trace, but now we're back into the thriving three. And what is one way you like to take care of yourself?
Going to the gym. Physical fitness is so critical, and it helps from a mental standpoint too. People don't understand how important it is. I feel like sometimes going to the gym is, they just think you go to the gym, you work out, you get these big ass muscles, and you live in the gym. Like, that's not the key. It only takes a half hour. Me, I like to spend an hour in the gym typically. Sometimes it's longer. Like I said, I coach football, so sometimes it's longer in the gym, just being with the players and stuff like that. But I think that's important from a physical standpoint, because I believe that like kind of with the coronavirus, like I believe going to the gym is the best way that you can defend your body against outside things that shouldn't be in your body, right? Like, physical fitness is so key, and I can't tell you, even if you're obese, even just being in the gym and trying to even work off that weight or just maintaining what you have, it's helping your body. There's just so many benefits to it. And from a mindset standpoint, it's good because like for me, it calms me down throughout the day to deal with stress, right? There's a study that was done, and it was like 20 or 30% by just going to the gym in the morning reduces your cortisol levels by 20 to 30% throughout the day, that's the stress hormone for people who don't know that. So right off the bat, that should want to get you in the gym, because if you're somebody who lives a stressful life, that's going to help you a little bit. You don't have to spend an hour in the gym. Spend 30 minutes a day just to work on your physical fitness and dieting too.
Which will literally save you years at the end of your life.
Correct. That's so important. And stretching, everybody, even people who just started the gym or people who are going years at the gym, stretching is important. You have to stretch. There's so many benefits to it too.
Yeah, there we go. That's something I need to work on more. I'm big on lifting, but I do not take the proper warm up or cool down time.
No, man. And, in high school, and I regret it. Like, I played football and I wish I would have stretched more. Like, it is so important. I'm so much more flexible than I was like 2 years ago by stretching every day, at least once. I recommend before and after, but if you can at least do it once a day, it's going to be so impactful. 6 months, you're not going to tell, a week from now, but you'll tell 6 months from now when you can get into a sumo squat if you can't sumo squat or something like that, so yeah.
There we go. Well, awesome. What is one action step that you can take right now or continue to take if you're already doing it to either meet Gary V, Grant Cardone, or Elon Musk, or just take that next step towards your dreams and goals?
Being persistent in the things that I do. All right. And what I mean like that is, like before, I think, Hammer, we talked about, I recently started a podcast. It's called the Flimsy Hat Podcast, and I'll get to the name in a minute. It's actually kind of funny, but I just recently started that because, like you, my vision for my podcast is, and this is still kind of changing because I'm still relatively new with the podcast, but my vision is I want people to share their successes, but I want them to share their failures too, because you're going to fail more times than you're going to succeed. Steve Harvey, I love his speeches. I love when he talks and stuff like that. I think he failed. He went broke twice. I don't think he made $1 million till after 30 when he got on TV and stuff like that. Right. And that's so important. Just being persistent in what you're doing, me starting the podcast, I have to be persistent in getting people that I want to get Gary V on. That's fine. I got to find people in his network that I can connect with to get them on my podcast. And hopefully one day I have a seat to talk to him or just meet him in person, maybe, right? Because he only lives it's kind of creepy, but he only lives an hour and a half from me, like in North Jersey, right? Like I live in South Jersey, he lives in North Jersey. Maybe I'll find him at a yard sale one day. That would be even cooler.
Yeah.
Like, I might just go up to like Springfield, like Jersey or somewhere's up there, Brunswick, and hopefully find him. Like, that would be dope as hell to find him. I'm sure I could. I mean, it's like a needle in a haystack with 9 million people, but maybe I could find him one day.
Hey, just go to the county-wide or the city-wide sales.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be seeing him buying Legos and Hot Wheels.
Yeah. You know, I bet it's a lot easier to connect to D-Rock. Maybe not anymore. D-Rock might be a little famous now. But
yeah, no, I thought about it. Believe me, I'm thinking about who in the network I gotta find. So
yeah,
I'll figure it out. I can't share too many things. But.
Feel that. Just go buy his NFT.
Yeah, that'll definitely.
Yeah,
definitely do it.
Well, awesome. There we go. Being persistent. We got one last question for you.
Okay.
Requires a bit of pretext. So you know how there are people on the planet, I kind of alluded to this earlier, but they have that really fixed mindset. They're not willing to accept help. They're not willing to accept change. Sometimes they'll live their whole life like that. Sometimes they'll die like that, unfortunately. Other times, they'll make that change in their life, and they'll have that switch over to that growth mindset, willing to accept help and willing to accept change. In your opinion, what is the catalyst that causes that change?
I think you get tired of being where you're at, right? And I think a caveat to that is people starting to realize that you have to find a different circle you're in. You never want to be the smartest person in the room, because at that point you need to find a different room to be in.
Yep.
Right. I don't ever want to be the smartest person in the room. And if I am, great, that means I've excelled and I can help people in those rooms become that person in the room to be the top dog, and then become back at the bottom of the totem pole again, right? In a whole different room, a whole different levels and set of skills. So I think those people that are closed-minded need to realize at some point you are in control of changing your life. Nobody else. Nobody feels bad for you if, you fail at your business or you don't have a lot of money, right? Nobody really feels bad for you. I mean, it's sad to say, but nobody does. I mean, you might think they do. They don't. Everybody has their own problems, right? And people with a fixed mindset don't understand that. They just think everybody needs to give them a helping hand. Here you go. And I hate to say it, but our generation's kind of screwed up in that sense. Like, they're always looking for a handout. And it's so easy to be great now because everybody has this fixed mindset. Like, oh, I'm just going to like thrive off of other people. And that's not the case. And, I deal with this a lot at work with people blaming their problems on their current situation. They don't think they can get out of where they live or anything like that. Like, look, I'm living proof that you can do that. I come from, I lost my father when I was 12, never had a lot of money. I'm working towards a place where I want to help more people be able to achieve that, right? Maybe somebody hasn't lost their father, but maybe their parents have been divorced and they haven't seen their father at all in their life. That's similar to my situation, right? So my vision for somebody who has that fixed mindset, like they can't get out of their situation, you can, and you're never too old to do so. Do you know who Judge Judy is?
Yep.
So she goes on a podcast or she does like a video conference or something like that, like one of those TED Talk events. And she talks about that people in their 40s can make it. People in their 50s can make it. People in their 60s can make it. It's never too late. And I love that she says that because it's so true. The people with their fixed mindset when they're in their 30s, 40s, and 50s don't think they can change, but they start to realize, like, yes, I can, because they don't want to go and die with the regrets that they have. They want to try and change them, right? You never want to go at your deathbed with regrets, right? That you never started that business, that you never, if you want to go to college or be that doctor or something. Like, everybody puts like a fixed mindset on an age and they use an age as a limitation to succeed. And I don't think you should be using an age as a limitation in order to succeed. And I think a lot of people with a fixed mindset do that. So like my message for somebody who's thinking that way is, leave that circle you're in and change the people you hang out with, because that is how you're going to be more open-minded, by trying new experiences.
There we go. Love it. Well, Sal, is there anything else that you want to chat about before we sign off?
No, if anybody has any questions for me, like I said, I just started a new podcast. I'd love to have all kinds of people to share their experiences. I don't care what it is, open up to me. And definitely it'll be somewhere on this podcast, like with how to reach out to me. But you can reach out to me at sal_Mannino at sbmarketingteam.com. Heartless Gamer is my YouTube channel and some of my other Instagram stuff like that for my gaming portion of what I do. And then also business, I kind of tie them into both. SB Marketing Team is across all major platforms, TikTok, Instagram, stuff like that. So that's kind of how you can follow me and kind of continue. Last thing, I talked about the podcast and never told you the name because I think it would be funny. So it's called the Flimsy Hat Podcast. When you think of that, does that like make you curious? Right? Like if I did like two assholes on a podcast, like you're like, oh, well, these guys are just two assholes, right?
Yeah.
So the Flimsy Hat Podcast is like, well, what the hell is that? What do they talk about? Hats? No, it has nothing to do with that, right? So the story behind that is we were sitting at a table eating with a couple other coaches, and like, you have a podcast? What are you gonna name it? I'm like, I don't know. And I had a hat on, and it was flimsy. So like, why don't you call it the Flimsy Hat Podcast? Like, that's perfect. That the name is stuck. Still working on the logos and stuff like that, and I had a couple drafts, but it's been an experience by far, and I've talked to some amazing people, and that's kind of what drove the name behind the podcast.
That is so funny.
Yeah, no, it's like it's completely ironic to what you think it would be.
Yeah,
like, you would just think you guys are just talking about expensive ass hats, and no, it's nothing to do with that.
You know what I love about that though, man? People would be like, what's going to be the name of my podcast? They wouldn't be able to decide, and they would let that stop them from starting the podcast.
Yes, 100%. People do that all the time. Like, dude, just jump, make
do anything.
Just start, right? Everybody's looking for like the playbook of how to succeed, and there's not one fucking there. Just start. That's how you're going to learn. There's no college professor in business for podcasting, radio host that's going to have all the answers. They're not there. It's experiences is how you're going to get those answers. And that's so critical. And anybody listening out there, just get a shit ton of experiences and just start. You don't know what opportunities are going to be there. I never thought I would be talking to people like the founder I don't know if he was founder, he sold Hive. I don't know. Have you heard of Hive before? The social media company. Yeah, so one of the guys in my inner circle, his name's Brett Knudsen. And he, I've talked to him personally, and, like if I never started a marketing agency, I don't know that I'd ever get to meet him or talk to him personally. Right. Like you never know if you jump, what is going to happen. There were people that told me, don't do it. You won't get anywhere. It's too saturated. You don't know where it's going to lead to, and just make the jump forward. That's all I got to say.
Yep. There you go. Make that jump, do anything. And done is better than perfect.
Correct.
So perfectionism is a disguise for insecurity.
Correct. Yeah, 100%.
And we're going to leave that there. Well, awesome, Sal. Thanks so much for coming on the show, man.
Thank you for having me, man.
Of course. It was great to have you. And if you guys are listening to this and you loved what Sal had to say, make sure to hit him up, help him build his support network. You add value to him. He'll love to add value back to you. Just let's get this value train moving.
Love to bring value.
There we go. All the ways to contact him will be down in the show notes. As we always ask, send this podcast to 1 to 3 people need to hear this message. Shoot us a 5-star review on iTunes, and we're out.